This week on the Steam Machine Podcast, let's do the time warp again. Cue the music. Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Steam Machine Podcast. My name is Dalton, and joining me as always, the Shoutout.
What's up? It's Willie, and we hooked in the old guard for this one because we thought we would travel back in time 22 minutes to when he was still on the show.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It is Nate. Glad to be back and on this ridiculous show again. Hasn't been very long this time.
I hadn't been too.
No, this is the first time you've done a video game in a while instead of an awards show.
Yeah, man. How you been, my good sir? I'm digging that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles sweater you got on.
Oh, yeah, it's a good one. You know, not quite the Power Rangers, but at least the Turtles game was better. But
That's fair.
I still need to check out the post-patch Rita's Rewind because it did sound like they fixed a lot of it.
that's good to know, though, for sure. But yeah, so it's been a couple weeks since the last time we recorded. Finally started diving into Dragon Quest III HD Remaster. Man.
Yeah.
It's very, very good.
It looks beautiful, dude.
Oh, like, it looks great, and, like, I got to make my party in it, so I'm running, oh gosh, I gotta remember the names I use for, I'm running a martial artist, which is Dalton, and then I'm running a cleric, which is Mikhailov, and then a mage, which is Willie.
It's not wizard?
Yeah, I don't remember what it's called in there, unfortunately, because my brain doesn't work all the time. But, hold on. It is mage. Yeah, it's mage.
Okay.
But
you got it first try?
So, but it's been really fun, and, like, I, of course, want to get the book so I can turn my mage into a sage, I think. Because, like, there's all the class change mechanics in this game, which I haven't started on yet. They even added a new class to this game, which I thought was really cool. Yeah, they added a Monster Wrangler class, which is basically like, let's throw a Pokemon trainer in this bitch.
Yeah! That's awesome.
So I thought that was pretty cool of them that they did that. So I
wonder, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I wonder if they added in that class because of the recent release of, is it Dragon Quest Monsters? Or is the one that you catch monsters and stuff in that?
Yeah, they did just put out a new Dragon Quest Monsters game, but yeah. I don't know, it might have something to do with it, or maybe they just like wanted to throw that mechanic into more games. Like, I haven't touched that one yet. I'm thinking about when I get a sage, making either my white mage or making my cleric. I call them white mage and black mage because of Final Fantasy 1 class system. But maybe make Mikhailov, turn him from a cleric into a monster wrangler, see how that goes. And then Dalton's going to stay a martial artist the whole time because he just likes to punch things.
Yeah.
But yeah,
so
that's been a lot of fun. And then dabbling in a couple other games lately. UFO 50 has been a pretty fun one.
That's the one I want to know about. What is that?
Yeah, tell us more about that.
Yeah, so UFO 50 is basically a collection of 50 video games. And they're all built with an 8-bit aesthetic and design style. So it's all like... And even on the games themselves, they say what year they were made. They're all from like between 1983 to 1985 or something like that. 1989. But like obviously they were all made in 2024. It's 50 different games. They're all very different. And like I have not even played half of them yet. It's one of those things where like I feel like it's a wide collection where some of the games are going to gel with some people and some of them aren't. But it's just really neat to see games from that style in the different types of games. Because one that I played through entirely recently was one called Camouflage, where it's more of a puzzle game where you have to play as like a lizard and you have to stay out of the eye line of like frogs and alligators, but you have to go to different spots to change your color to match the background, and then find the spots where you can walk now because they don't see when you're camouflaged the color of the tile you're on, and walk through it. So that's a pretty interesting game. And then there's just a whole bunch of other little action games and art. Apparently there's a full-on JRPG style game in there.
I've told it's a really rich collection, but so it's like a fictional video game system kind of, instead of like, it's like basically like the UFO or whatever existed like in parallel to the NES and the Sega Master
Pretty
System
much,
shit.
yeah.
And like, I've even seen that people talked about like the game has its own, or the system has its own palette and stuff. So I've seen pixel art done in like the UFO 50 palette.
Yeah.
I think that's really sick.
Yeah,
You know?
it's really cool and really well thought out. And like I said, some of the games I've tried are like, nope, I don't want to play this one. But I'll tap into another one and be like, yeah, this is awesome. And some of them are very much like Kunio-kun style, like sports games in there. And then platformers a la Karnov, essentially. So just like a lot of really cool and random stuff in there. Like, I have to play a lot more of them, but I've had fun with what I've tried so far. Even the ones I didn't really like, I just like appreciate the fact that they're in there.
So it's almost like a mock collection. Like,
I was gonna say, I wonder if the like elevator pitch was, what if we made Action 52, but if it didn't suck shit out of an asshole?
Maybe.
Is there like a game that's like the big one, like in Action 52 it was Cheetah Men? Like, is there one that's like the mascot game of UFO 50?
You know, I don't know the big lore behind everything, so I couldn't tell you which the biggest game on there. I know Paul has been playing it a lot, so he might have more opinion on it than me, because he's played more of it than I have, but I've been getting into it and having a good time with it. And then I also picked up another game during the winter sale that I was like, this is one that seems like me that I probably should have played a long time ago, which is Geometry Dash.
I've seen you on that recently. I was wondering about that.
Yeah. So, like, if you not know about Geometry Dash, it's kind of like a rhythm platformer type game where there's only one button. So, like, every level is like an auto scroll, and you're just like pressing the jump button at the correct time. So, and it kind of goes with the rhythm of the song that plays in the background. So, you're a platforming rhythm game. It's pretty fun. I've been enjoying it a lot. And it's just one of those games that's been on my radar forever that I've never picked up before, but it was like $2 on Steam sale. I'm like, yeah, it might be time to pick it up, even though it's like $5 normally.
I've heard that game has dope-ass
Oh, yeah, dude. That's like the big selling point. And like, it's really cool visually, too.
That's how I feel about Geometry Wars 3 Dimensions Evolved, I think is what it's called. Is that it's just so aesthetically pleasing to play, and it's just got a bumping little soundtrack.
Yeah. Are those games
You're going to have to stream me that game sometime. I think not. I think they just happen to have the word geometry in them.
I think they're just both fun and about shapes.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, just brightly lit shapes.
You love to hear it.
But instead of the runner, Geometry, the one I'm talking about is much more a twin-stick shooter.
Oh. See, I didn't know that Geometry Wars was a twin-stick shooter. That actually appeals to me more than like what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, so like you're on a...
Do you think it's like an RTS or some shit?
Oh, no, you're on like a plane, and you're like this little thing, and you move around, and then geometry shapes come at you, and you have to shoot them, and then it's almost like it's bullet helly at some points. Like it's hard. It's hard. I've never even gotten halfway through the game.
Nice. Okay.
But I enjoy the shit out of it.
That sounds cool too. I like that.
I think
one of these Nate's going to go through his bullet hell era, and it's going to be crazy.
The local dollar store has, if we all had Xbox Ones, they have copies up there of that game for $4.99. It's so weird. I walked in, I'm like, Diana's looking around the dollar store, and I just happened to glance over. I'm like, holy shit. 1, 2, there's like 6 copies of one of my favorite games right here. I was like, if I'd have had money, I'd have bought them and just sent them to y'all just to have.
That's funny.
In case one day we get Xbones.
Yeah, or if emulation becomes really good, you can rip the game. Just boom, there you go.
Rip it with what optical drive?
Right?
Oh, yeah, true. True. That's the thing about all these physical games that I have. I'm like, man, I should probably get one of those like $30 USB disc readers for computers that they have now. Just to see if I can get any of these to work. But it's like, oh man, it's really easy to just buy it on GOG.
Right.
And for $3 and download it and play it.
I'm sure if I looked at archive.org enough, I could find like the shareware collections I used to play as a kid and the like PC Gamer demo discs and shit.
Oh yeah. I mean that Exodus program I downloaded came with rips of every PC Gamer magazine and stuff. So
you could play that copy of the demo of Daggerfall I played when I was much younger and like making the ladies take their clothes off because they had little like nippleses. Yeah. When I was watching Josh Stripe Hayes stream Daggerfall, he would walk into a room and the lady would be naked and he'd go, well, just out of nowhere.
He'd turn around and be like,
no reason.
Bethesda, clothe your women. Real quick, and then Nate, I'll let you continue.
I'm good.
Josh Stripe Hayes is one of my favorite guys on YouTube. He sent a tweet earlier. It was him and his brother, and he was like, Visited with my brother today and played some badminton. The only problem was he was playing good mitten, and I lost.
That's classic.
So what about you, Willie? What you been up to?
I play okay mitten. Well, it's New Year, and so one of the things is I'm trying to, reconnect with stuff I wanted to get done last year that I didn't quite finish. So I've made myself a bunch of goals for chess this year, especially. Like, I want to really grind down on that. So I got, a book reading list. I've got specific things I've been trying to do. I've been employing, different, strategies and stuff. I've actually changed my opening repertoire from the last time I talked about chess on the streams, or on the show, so... Now I'm doing the Kali system as white. Still doing the Kuro Khan as black, but now black against d4. I'm just winging it, basically. Trying to kind of reach a semi-Slav if they do a Queen's Gambit, but otherwise just playing by principles.
And I haven't had a good semi-Slav in a long time.
Oh, yeah. I mean, sometimes you aren't ready for the full Slav, so just gotta get that semi.
Yeah, my favorite song by Semi-Slav is definitely Closing Time.
Closing Time?
I just feel like that's the Russian cover band. Closing time. Time to get the fuck out.
There is no more vodka. You must go out into the road.
I don't know why that tickles me so much.
It's good shit. It's good shit.
Fuck yeah.
I can't believe how many jokes we got out of the word Semi-Slav.
Yeah, right? Because I just said some random chess term, and you're all like, oh, we got jokes. We got fucking jokes, bro.
I installed a...
yeah, there's that.
I installed a chess game today. I was thinking about you because I was looking at my VR games, which I'll touch on when I get to it. And one of them is called...
I've seen you on VR. I've seen you on VR playing that Thrill of the Fight.
Yeah, so I have a fun story about that. But where is it? Chess... What was it called? It doesn't matter, but I installed a chess game. Chess Ultra.
Oh, Chess Ultra is it's a really, really pretty environmental game that lets you play chess. I think I have it on Epic, but it's not VR mine, but I think we could link up and play together. That would be pretty cool. That would be cool.
Well, it has a VR mode.
It has really pretty environments. The environments are really cool. That's kind of the main draw of it. It's just a really chill, the main one I know of is this big manor. There's books and wine glasses and stuff. And it's just really nice.
I would love for them to put in the scene from, was it A Bug's Life? Or was it I think it might have been Toy Story, where it begins with the little Pixar animation of the guy in the park, the old man playing chess. And it turns out he's playing chess against himself. He's just going back and forth.
Can't remember
anyway, it's just,
this, yeah.
Oh, it's old school. It's old school, but it's just he's just in a little park and he's just playing chess with himself. And it's man, that would be a cool environment. That would be a good nostalgia because people wouldn't know what it was at first, but they'd be looking around and be like, wait a minute, I've seen this before.
It's a Unix system. I know this.
You said Unix.
Fucking, let's see. What else did I have? Not just chess. Nate got me a bunch of games for Christmas, and I finally got just playing around with some of them. Dwarf Romantic and Satisfactory, especially. I don't know if I got to talking about those on the podcast. I might have mentioned them on the Steamy episode. Nate, do you remember?
You mentioned
but you didn't really talk too much about them.
Well, they're pretty cool. So Dwarf Romantic is kind of if you took a city building game or whatever, and then turned it into a German board game, with hexagonal tiles and stuff. And then you took that German board game and got rid of almost all the rules and just made it a solitaire game.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
It's actually just really satisfying. That's a word. It's really satisfying and really really low stress. You can just kind of sit there and play it as a puzzle game, or you can try to do stuff. The main thing is you want to try to line up the edges of the tiles so you have continuity. If one of the hex tiles is bordering a plains and the other's bordering a wheat field, you can kind of combine that. If you get one that matches on all 6 sides, you get a perfect tile bonus, which means you get a free extra tile, and you get certain missions to try to get so many forests in a row or so many train tracks in a row and all that. And that also gets you more tiles. And as long as you still have more tiles in your deck, you can keep on building.
I love a good builder. So that's intriguing to me.
It's less, I thought it would be more realistic. I didn't think it'd be as board gamey as it was, but I ended up really liking the vibes after I played about a game and a half of it. I'm still technically in my second game. I saved and quit and haven't finished it yet because I've come back to it a couple times and been playing some extra tiles on the outside. I'm damn, I still have 70 tiles to go. I'm doing pretty good.
Nice.
Then the other one, Satisfactory, is one of those games that tickles I want to go to an alien planet and build a working system to make it better type thing. Like, I liked Planet Crafter for similar reasons, but Satisfactory is more, it's more about the actual mining and constructing and, ores and automating stuff, like conveyor belts and all that shit. Like, it is definitely, if you've ever played like a Minecraft tech mod, Satisfactory is like, what if that wasn't Minecraft, but a good game instead?
Fair enough. I installed Minecraft the other day, but I think we talked about that because I was just pissed off about my account just not being there anymore.
Yeah.
What dick licks. But yeah. So anything that's like Minecraft adjacent that I can check out, I will check out because fuck Minecraft.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, it doesn't play like regular Minecraft. It specifically plays like if you have like a really high-tech mod pack going in, like Tech 8 or any of the numerous ones that are like designed about like building a tech tree up and stuff. But it's like, it's very satisfying. You know, gather materials, gather ores and all that, and try to build a system, like upgrade your hub into, you know, a self-sustaining system that then can upgrade itself, basically.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, man. So no,
I haven't messed with the other ones yet, but they looked cool too. Nate also got me Proto Corgi, which again, super cute. Got to get into that one soon. And Dangeresque Rumisode Triangulate, which
what is that?
It's a strong bad point and click adventure game.
Okay, I've heard you guys mention Strong Bad before. Little red dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, little red dude. I mean, that's little wrestle man with boxing gloves on. But yeah, so in the Homestar Runner universe, Dangeresque is like a series of movies that's supposed to be huge blockbusters, but it's really clearly being made by Strong Bad and his brothers, and they're just goofing around filming with like a little Super 8 camera or whatever. And so it's like a detective action thing or whatever. So in the video game, you're going to be like playing as Dangeresque, who's like a detective and dealing with these hard-boiled problems where you're just locked in one room, and it's goofy but funny.
I feel like I've played a game with strong bag. Yeah, strong bag. Hefty. No, I feel like I've played a game with strong bad in it before, like in passing. Like maybe it was at a buddy's house.
It could have well been a buddy's house. He's in Poker Night at the Inventory, which is a poker game with the Heavy and one of the Sam and Max guys. Is that the
one that's got like Claptrap and the girl from Portal?
I think the sequel had those. Okay. Yeah, there was a second one. The first one was I think the rabbit from Sam and Max. It was the rabbit from Sam and Max. It was Strong Bad. It was the Heavy from TF2, and it was Gabe from Penny Arcade.
Okay. So anything else you've been up to, my good sir?
Let's see. I'm trying to think if there's any other newer stuff I wanted to really get into. I'm going to try to make more game dev stuff go on this year, because that's always fun. Like, I started doing some pixel art earlier today, and I'm like, I don't have time for this. I really need to make sure I beat the podcast game before the podcast. And I'll be honest, Cats, I cut it pretty close. Like, I was within an hour of recording time before I finished it.
Willie, we made the show 2 weeks, so it was easier to beat games.
Yeah, but the thing is, I'm bad at things. I have ADHD. Fuck off. You're gonna shame me for having a mental disorder? That's ableist. Frankly, I'm calling the police.
The po-po.
Like Sting and the rest of them.
Sorry, that took me a minute. I get you. You're sending out an SOS is what you're saying.
Yeah, because I'm the King of Pain.
Yeah, dude, I remember Mudvayne covered King of Pain, and it was super good.
Did they? That actually sounds like it could be pretty interesting.
It was good.
King of Pain's one of the more like reggae-esque sounding songs, if I remember right.
That's like, what's that one song that for years I didn't realize was Led Zeppelin?
Jure-maker, probably.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you don't have to go.
Yeah, that song. Yeah. I was always like, it's a reggae song. I didn't expect it to be Zeppelin, but it is.
It's always weird when some of those bands had pretty good reggae chops. Like fucking The Clash has Rudy Can't Fail, and what's that other pretty good reggae-ish one off of the Calling album? Rudy Can't Fail and Guns of Brixton. Both of those are pretty dope-ass songs.
Although these days they like to call it Ray Alternative Lifestyle, but that's okay.
When we no-sell jokes, Truncate Silence kills the goof. But man, there was just some hard silence there while Dalton smiled like an idiot.
Yeah. So I guess that just leaves me. So I am...
Who cares what you have to say? Nate, how you doing?
Going up into the final chapter of Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous.
Okay.
let me.
Dude, some of the screenshot you showed us of that game have been like shit has been escalating like crazy.
So that means you're about to stop playing it, right? Because you can't beat video games.
Fuck you, Nate. I think I'm gonna beat it. I'm 138 hours into it now. The first 20 hours or so was on a different save. Like I started out, so I fucked up because I started this game over in the beginning of December. So even if I beat it now, I'm not going to get the full -3 in backlog golf because I started it last year. So like, damn, but I'll still get a nice -2 for it. But
do I get any points for finishing Outer Wilds? Because I played about half of it last year, so I guess not, huh? I'm still
because it was minus.
Yeah.
No, because it does count because they made the rule that anything after like December 19th, if you'd started it, it counts towards this year.
Okay, so I'm back to 0. I should make a note then.
Yeah.
Excellent.
But yeah, I'm super close. I really think I might play through Pathfinder again, but do an evil playthrough just to see how it goes.
Does it still go to the Abyss? Because I imagine being like chaotic evil in the Abyss would be real fun.
Yeah, you do, because that's a part of the the main story is going through the Abyss. That's the whole of Act 4 is dealing with being in the Abyss. Which, wow.
So the Abyss is like where demons are from. I mean, I don't know if the terminology is the same in Pathfinder and D&D, but like the chaotic evil monsters are the demons. I don't remember what it's called in D&D, but it's the Abyss in Pathfinder.
Yeah. So in Pathfinder, there's hell,
which is the devils, the lawful evil.
It's lawful evil. There are rules, regulations, and all that kind of shit. Then there's the Abyss. The Abyss is chaotic evil. It's like demons, succubi, all of that, and anything goes. There's a harem brothel place that you can go to called the 10,000 Delights, and you can go in there.
Ooh, that sounds
and
fun.
Get laid by succubi if you want. There
will the succubi suck you dry?
I guess if you'd like them to. I don't know, because my character was good, I did not take advantage of that, which is another reason I want to go back and do an evil playthrough so I can like see all the shit that my character was too good for. Because there have been people who come up to you and they say something to you and they're annoying as shit, but I'm like, I have to be good leader. I can't just hit the button that says kill them. Because
I thought you did go with a succubi because your character was in a committed gay relationship. And
no,
obviously that means your character is gay. He's not succubi.
Yeah, I'd have to go for one of the incubi that were in there because there were also incubus around.
Did you know that there is a term, like a gender neutral term, which is concubus, which means to lay with, and that kind of encompasses succubi, incubi, and whatever a gender neutral form.
Well, you know, at least an incubus can teach you how to drive.
That was a stellar joke, Nathan.
Whatever tomorrow brings, I'll be there. Oh man, that fucking, what was that other song they had? Something about fire, burn. I don't remember.
Who cares? They sucked.
Burn, motherfucker, burn.
But yeah,
I liked Anomaly or whatever it was called. That one was an okay song.
I did hit a soft lock bug during my relationship with Doran.
Oh, that's right. So you didn't actually get to consummate. That's so sad.
Yeah. So if I would go through the cutscene and they would kiss, and then it would go to like what I'll call just like a Pathfinder choice screen where it gives you story and an illustration, and then you choose things. And it basically was telling you like that you guys were naked and getting it on, and that there's a creepy shadow watching from the shadows. And if you play the game, you'll know what that is that's watching you. You know what I mean? It's something to do with Doran.
It's Dalton. He's watching. He's having a great time.
I'm cooking in the corner.
That's me
He's
in
in the cock chair.
That's me in the cock chair. Losing
I would have been so mad if you didn't deliver that line exactly like that.
That's me.
That's
in
beautiful,
the
Nate.
Chair.
Oh, fuck yeah. This is a good show, actually, y'all.
Pulling on my wiener.
Trying to get a view.
All I can see is his butt.
I haven't seen enough.
I thought that I heard some clapping.
I thought that I smacked them cheeks. I think my wife just fucked that guy.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Boy. What a good segment. I'm sorry. I love this show, actually.
We all just collectively lost our religion singing that is. Oh, man. But yeah, so I didn't get to consummate that because like when I would go to make the choice, I would click either choice and it wouldn't let me click anything. It was like, I think it was moving my character in the background. So like that screen wasn't registering that screen was up. And I tried to fix that and couldn't. So I ended up having to, and if I wanted to progress the game, because this cutscene happened when I went back to the main city, I had to turn it down.
Years later, was Monica getting jealous that you're getting with someone else in a game?
There you go. Kana, get your girl. I'm trying to play games
Get your girl, Kana.
Yeah, so I canceled that. I ended up, I think now I'm technically in a relationship with Camila, who is this chick who's in your party, who I probably should, for story reasons, should not be in a relationship with. All the characters in this game are written so well. And here's the crazy thing. All of the characters that I think that are written really good have something evil about them.
Well, that's what makes things interesting. You can't have light without shadow. Or I guess you can't have shadow with light without light, actually. But you know what I mean?
Shadow without Sonic.
It makes the... Nate's going off today.
I know, I feel like I'm playing the usual Willie role, just throwing in the stupidest possible comments for no good reason.
And frankly, I'm fucking loving it. I'm a BuzzFeed headline writer. Nathan is acting like Willie on this episode, and frankly, I'm there for it.
But, yeah.
I don't know why I think the BuzzFeed articles writers all sound like a 19-year-old girl. Frankly, I'm there for it. I don't know why I think this is what a 19-year-old girl sounds like.
Without giving away too many spoilers, earlier when I was playing, one of the characters that I have that's in my party who I had grown attached to, like, there's a moment where he's like, I need to do this myself. And I was like, I had the choice of just telling him, okay, go ahead. And then I had a lawful choice of saying, I'm the commander. Who are you to think that you can make decisions now? And I thought that was being a dick. So I sent him off by himself. And then I went up behind him. And the way the cutscene plays out is he does the heroic thing, but then he ends up getting killed and he is dead. Like, I can't resurrect him. He is now gone. I'm like, oh, well, shit, man. So I'm like, okay, so now we're getting to the point in the game where they're taking characters away from me. And man, it's so well written. It's a long game and there's a decent amount of reading, but there is voice acting too. But I mean, it's really good. Fenris, I know you listen. Whenever you're done with Baldur's Gate 3, definitely check out the Pathfinder games. They're very, very good. Very, very good.
Sounds like Homeboy's got a lot of computer RPG game action to play.
They're the shit. they really are. Like, RPGs are just the shit. So I also today battened down the hatch and finally hooked my VR up.
Yeah.
For some reason, I couldn't get it to link with the cable. I don't know why. I guess I was probably doing something wrong. Probably user error, ID 10T error. But I hooked it up through AirLink and was checking out some of my games. So the first one that I played was Serious Sam: The Last Hope.
Oh man, I can't imagine what Serious Sam in VR is like.
So I didn't do the first encounter, which I have the first encounter and the second encounter VR. So the games that we've done for the show, I have the VR modes of those and Serious Sam 3, I think. But this one, The Last Hope, is a game designed specifically for VR. So, and it was nice because I could play it sitting in a chair, right? You do not move. It's in The Last Hope, you are stationary and you can see all out in front of you, and there are enemies rushing towards you and you have to shoot them. It's like almost like a horde mode for like one of those arcade games, right? But you're in there and you're Sam and you get to choose your different weapons. So at one point I had a machine gun in my right hand, like an assault rifle, and in my left hand I had a Tommy gun. And it was this big desert and it just spawns, and in every direction that I can see there are those bomb dudes running at me. So I'm just shooting these guys. So you have two default pistols. Those never run out of ammo, right? But your other ones have ammunition, but you have to look towards the sky because you get drops. So there will be like a parachute with a heart on it coming down. So you can aim up at that and shoot it, and it shoots out this grappling hook and grabs it and pulls it back to you, and it'll heal you. But there's also ammo drops. So the first, I don't know how to explain it other than I felt badass when that boss of Earth, the first level, comes at you. And it's this big towering thing, and it's shooting fireballs at you. And with my right hand, I've got my assault rifle up, and I'm aiming and I'm shooting at him, while I'm looking around and other enemies that are coming at me, I'm using my left hand with the Tommy gun, just being like, just going like that. So it's just like, it was just chaos, but it was so fun. It just reminded me of a really good arcade game, but you were in it. You know what I mean? You weren't just standing there on the outside of the arcade machine with a gun pointing at the screen. It was like you were in there doing it. Super fun. If you have a VR headset, definitely check it out. I don't think it's super expensive, but it's a fun little romp. And you can get upgrades. You can buy new weapons that you can have access to. There's I haven't even broke the surface of it because I was just dabbling. You know what I mean? So I'll be playing some more of that for sure. Let me wet my whistle real quick.
Yeah. I was going to mention something to you, Dalton, because I was thinking about your VR situation where you couldn't get your headset to cable. Is it USB-C to USB-C?
Yeah.
Is your USB-C cable on your PC a high power capacity port? Because you know how like some ports are low power and some are high powered? It'll only work with a higher powered one.
Okay.
Because mine doesn't work on my PC, the USB-C to USB-C either.
So that's strange. Like on my computer over here, on my old computer, there is a port that is specifically for VR, but it's not a USB-C. It's a USB. And then this one, I have a USB-C port on the back on my graphics card. That's what I plugged it into. And it told me that there was dust in it or something like that. So I cleaned it out and then put it back in, and it started charging it, but I couldn't get it to connect through the link. I have another USB-C port up here. So maybe I'll try this port and see if it works any better. But I figured plugging into the graphics card would be
I think that would have been your best bet. That's odd. Okay.
Yeah, and the thing's a 4090. I hope it can handle VR. Like, for fuck's sake. But so messed around with some Serious Sam. I loaded into virtual camp. I think that's what it's called. Let me peek real quick. Laid Back Camp, virtual Fumata campsite. So it's just based on an anime called Laid Back Camp. And it basically just like puts you in the anime. Nothing super special about it. It was I was just sitting there, and to my left was this anime chick, and I could look at stuff, and the two characters would talk about it. Nice. That's about as far as I got. Then I played some Thrill of the Fight.
Boy, I want to play that one so bad.
Thrill of the Fight is awesome. I only played this first sparring match, but I decided that that's a game that I'm going to have to find an area to play in.
That's why I haven't played it, because I have it on my Quest 2. And, like, this room is not big enough for it, man. Like, I don't have a room big enough in the house to dedicate to play that game. Like, this is fine for Beat Saber, but if you're walking around a boxing ring, like, no, man. I don't have anywhere near a room.
So if I scoot my chair back, this is how much room I have.
Yeah.
Basically, your arms outstretched, and that's about it.
Yeah. So I'm having to literally just stay in one spot and kind of dance. And I'm throwing some punches. I knocked over my dip bottle, which thankfully was closed. Thank God. But dude's like throwing some punches at me. I'm blocking him. I'm like socking him in the belly with 4 left jabs. And he drops his hands. And I just popped him in the face like that. Whap! And I also hit the corner of my monitor. And absolutely destroyed this knuckle right here. It hurts. It still hurts. This shit hurts so bad. I was like, oh, fuck. So I won the sparring match by unanimous decision because that fat fuck couldn't keep up with this fat fuck. So
yeah, like I would love to play that game, but like it takes so much room. Like you would think Beat Saber would, but you really don't need that much space. But like, gosh, anything where you need to actually have a lot of footwork with that kind of game, like you really don't have the room for it unless you have like a dedicated VR space.
Yeah, it's like I almost want to, because I don't know how the connection would be from my room to like the living room, but like I almost want to like just buy Thrill of the Fight on my headset. That way it's just on there, and I can go into the living room and like scoot the table out of the way and then have a space to play in.
Yeah, that's how I have mine too. Like maybe if I clean out my garage, I can have enough room. But
I would love to clean my garage out and have room in there, because right now my garage is a fucking mess, but I can get to my workout machine, and that's what counts.
I genuinely already forgot you had a garage, and I was like at your house for like a week watching your dog at one point. I don't think I ever once went into the garage.
I have a reason to. There's nothing out there.
To be honest, I didn't even go into some of the rooms you told me I should go in. You're like, you told me about the computer room and how to get into the computer and play on that, and I just
Yeah, there's
watch a lot of Netflix.
There's a couple other VR games that I'm interested in trying out. Specifically, like Half-Life Alyx looks awesome.
Yeah,
and that's definitely by far the biggest VR game that I have. It's like 60 gigs.
I keep meaning to buy it. I don't think I ended up even buying it on this Steam sale. Nope, I didn't. It's just always going to be on my Steam wish list of the game that I'm never going to buy.
You'll play it before Half-Life 3 comes out.
The Talos Principle VR will probably be pretty cool.
That sounds nice, actually.
And then one that, this is just a me game. It's called Townsman VR. And it's like, it's a city builder, but you're like a god in the sky with your hands and like you tell people what to do and stuff. It's just like, it looks really interesting. And I love those types of games. So to do it, like, so I had one on PS4 VR, but I didn't have the controllers. So just playing it with a PS4 controller in the VR headset just was not nearly as cool. So I look forward to checking this one out. Yeah, man. Other than that.
Oh, dude. You'll probably want to talk about this, but the main wrestling companies have been realigning where they're streaming now. So WWE's had their debut on Peacock, and AEW's doing the simulcast with the Turner Networks and Max.
WWE's
not Peacock. Netflix.
They've been on Peacock. They're on Netflix now.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry.
Yeah, dude.
But yeah, you had like you sound like you really enjoyed the Raw debut on Netflix. So tell us more about that.
It was fucking awesome. I know.
Despite Hulk Hogan getting booed out of the house,
that was one of the best moments.
Awesome.
That was one of the best moments when he came out, and I'm listening to the crowd, and I'm like, "Oh, those are piped in cheers." Like I can tell. Yeah, it was a great show, man. Really had a big show feel to it. You know, there were only 4 matches, but they were 4 really good matches, and there was like some promos and stuff in between, and you know, of course, advertising, yada yada yada. But like, man, opened up with Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa and ended with CM Punk versus Seth Rollins, and was just from beginning to end. I loved it. Rhea Ripley was there, and you know, I'm always happy when Rhea Ripley's there.
You showed us some pictures. She definitely was wearing those pants well.
Yeah, girl got a booty. Girl got a booty for sure. And when she was going up the ramp, when she was like up there and she held her title up, all of a sudden the gong hit. And then all of a sudden the opening note of Sad But True hit, and it came up on the screen and said American Badass. And he came out to Sad But True until he got out there, and then Kid Rock's American Badass kicked in, like when Sad But True would kick in.
Huh.
It was interesting.
Because American Badass does sample the Sad But True riff. Like it has that riff in it.
Yeah, so it started off with the beginning, and then it introed into that. It started
with the actual Sad But True, like the dum bum 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 bum.
Yeah.
Oh, that's sick.
And then transition.
Is it as sad as when you think you're listening to Werewolves of London?
No, nothing is that bad.
No.
I knew exactly where Nate was going with that. No, nothing makes me sadder when I think Werewolves of London is coming on. It is fucking all summer long.
It was 1989. Yep, fucking A. But he comes out on the motorcycle. He does he literally comes out. He does a lap around the ring on the motorcycle. Drives back up, parks next to Rhea. They look at each other. They nod. They both do the Undertaker raise the arm thing, and then they both look over their shoulders at the camera. And then that was it. He just came out to give her the rub.
You love to hear it.
But yeah, this is a good way to remind people that starting January 21st, there will be a new podcast coming out under the umbrella called Grumpy Jeff's Pro Wrestling Power Hour. And that'll be me and Dane chatting about wrestling. Dane is a brand new wrestling fan, so I have so much to show him and tell him about. I can't wait. For the first episode, we're going to be covering the first and second Raws on Netflix. We said we were going to wait until after next week to not judge it just by the first one, see how they do on week 2, you know, that comeback. And then the main event is going to be the match that made him click with wrestling, which is Undertaker versus Mankind Hell in a Cell match.
One of the legendary matches of the 20th century.
Which I rewatched recently, and I forgot that after he went through the cell the second time, that wasn't the end of the match. There was like another 20 minutes of match after that. And it's like, God damn, man. What a tough son of a bitch.
Literally the words I was going to use. No other better way to describe Mick Foley. Tough son of a bitch. He knew he didn't have the physique or the style of all the big boss, bodybuilder wrestlers, and he's just like, well, fuck it then, throw me off of the moon.
Yeah. And just a little teaser for a story for that show, and then we can move on from the wrestling. But Mick Foley went into the back, and Bruce Pritchard came up and was like, holy shit, Mick, are you okay? And Mick told him, Bruce, I'm really sorry that we didn't do the thumbtack spot. And Bruce is like, I'm looking at Mick, who has about 50 thumbtacks sticking out of him. And he's apologizing for not doing the thumbtacks. So like I said, Mick, you did it, buddy. It's all good. It's fine. And he was like, oh, good. I'm glad. It's just like, he's such a... Mick Foley is like one of the nicest human beings, but then goes out there and is just like Captain Blood McGee. It's just wild.
But he's always willing for it to be his blood that mostly spills too, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, not to say that he hasn't done some damage himself, but, you know, he takes it as good as he gets at the minimum.
Well, boys, I can't remember anything else that I've done that was interesting, so let's move on to our game of the episode. We played a little...
Dalton, I think it would be helpful if you were to pull up some kind of website in which you could find out information about this game.
What a coincidence. I do have a website pulled up, and it's time for the obligatory Wikipedia bullshit.
Oh, I thought you were going to say
Outer
Wild.
I can't. Oh, so I can't access Pornhub anymore.
No, same, I think.
I can. Woohoo! One thing Tennessee's doing better than Florida.
I went to go on Pornhub, and then I went on another site, and it told me I couldn't get on there either. I was like, what the fuck? So I went to my backup, XNXX. Full access.
X videos is still good, but Pornhub's down.
Yeah.
Why am I telling y'all this?
It's just like government. It's like, why does the government care what I want to beat my dick to? Come on now. Pornhub was like one of the most regulated things on the internet. Whatever.
Yeah, like I felt like they were always very responsible about like, you know, getting rid of the revenge stuff and the unlicensed stuff and the theoretically underage stuff. They always seem responsible and shit.
They literally made it.
That's why they're the ones that you could not get to now, but you can still get to the ones we're talking about.
Yeah, that Pornhub made it to where, you know, back in the day, you didn't always hear that Pornhub intro in a video because not all videos were by verified uploaders. Now you have to be a verified uploader to upload on Pornhub. So that's why you always hear that doon, 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 doon in the beginning of videos. It's like, because they're all, it used to be you just clicked on one. If it didn't have that, then it was just some rando just uploading a video. But, you know, whatever. The government knows best, right? Yeah. So we played a game, Outer Wilds, not to be confused with Outer Worlds, the Outer Worlds. Outer Wilds is a 2019 adventure video game developed by Mobius Digital and published by Annapurna Interactive. The game follows the player character as they explore a planetary system stuck in a 22-minute time loop that resets after the sun supernovas and destroys the universe. Through repeated attempts, they investigate the alien ruins of the Nomai to discover their history and the cause of the time loop.
So I think this is definitely one of those points we should bring up very early on. This is an extremely narrative game, and even if we just talk about solutions to puzzles and stuff, it is likely to spoil your experience if you want to go into it blind. So if you have an interest in this game, at any point you're like, I want to check it out, stop listening and go play it, because it is definitely worth experiencing yourself. Gotta have the spoiler warning, because this is going to be a spoiler-y one. You can't talk about this game without being spoilery, you know?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Nate.
No, I was going to say I agree. This does need a spoiler warning on it because I think it will change some people's experience with the game. I will say that I did go into it without knowing anything about the game.
I went into it knowing it was a time loop, and that's all I knew. I didn't know how it happened or anything like that. I just knew it was a time loop.
That's basically where I was, too. And I also confused it with the Outer Worlds,
So, first impressions, man. I'll start for once. I'll go with up first. So, my first impression was, okay, this game has an insane amount of hype around it. Like, the internet has just put this thing on a pedestal. And I was very much looking forward to it. Loaded in, I thought that the graphics were very charming. And I thought running around was relatively smooth on the planet. I did not use a controller. I know it says real Yakuza use a gamepad, but I did not. I used mouse and keyboard because it's a first-person game. I just have gotten to where I'm more used to playing first-person and mouse and keyboard.
It seemed like it should have been mostly playable through mouse and keyboard. Like,
it was.
There are some places where I was really glad that I had the precise, like, multi-directional retro rockets, but for the most part, mouse and keyboard should have been fine.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't run into any issues. Except, so right there in the beginning, and this is part of my first impression, then I'll pass it on, there's the test flight thing, but you're flying the ship third person, so you're not in the ship, so I could not control that fucking thing for the life of me, dude. I could not get that thing to fly right.
Oh, I literally did not leave the first area until I figured out how to successfully land the drone like 5 times in a row.
Yeah, no, dude, I gave up. I just moved on.
Yeah, it was much easier to pilot the actual ship than that drone.
much.
Yeah, I would agree. But I think getting that practice in just so you knew that it was, a roll, yaw. You don't have to do rolling and yawing. You can just kind of thrust against the ground and in the four cardinal directions. Like, learning that, I think, was more helpful than trying to be precise with the drone.
Well, there was a fifth direction you could go, the hey yaw.
Willie hates it when we out-corny him at his own game.
You think you got it? Oh, you think you got it?
What's cooler than that planet that's falling apart to a black hole? Ice cold! All right.
Ice cold. So, Willie, what was your first impression of this game?
Man, I genuinely really loved booting it up, and like the music was like so charming and folksy, and then the world that you start off in is this like very like pinewood forest type place, and like even the landing pad for the rocket is made out of just hardwood pine tree. Like I really enjoyed the like how weirdly folksy it starts off, and like
it's like what if the Scouts of America had a rocket program?
Yes, it was very Scouty. Yes, absolutely.
Maybe that's why this game gave me PTSD.
Yeah, you had some rough times with the Scouts.
I had some interesting.
And you never made your Black Hole Merit Badge.
I never got my Black Hole Merit Badge. It bothers me.
It shouldn't. Just think about the context of Scouts and Black Hole Merit Badges.
Won't you come walk away the rain? Yeah, I did like the woodsy look of it though. I've always had a love for the aesthetic of like a nice built log cabin.
Yeah,
they just look nice.
The combination of the like woodsy aesthetic, and then like also sound being a huge thing right from the start, where like you don't take very long before you get to the spectroscope and have to play hide and seek with the little kids, and it's like you literally track them through like listening to them on a radio. Like I thought that was really cool, the way the game used music and audio as cue, and that would continue to be a main playing point throughout the rest of the game.
Man, I told those kids to go hide, and then I got in the ship.
Then you didn't seek.
And left. Yeah. See you later, kids.
22 minutes later, man.
Yeah, they only had to hide for 22 minutes. It's fine. They'd be all right.
I guess they won, frankly.
I would say they won life, but
they big won.
So, what about you, Nate? What was your first impression popping into the game?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say it's pretty much the same experience y'all had. It was very much like I had no like real association in my brain with this game, so I had no idea what it was going to be like. So it was a nice, pleasant surprise to come into this little planet where you get to talk to all these little alien dudes, and they're all super nice and friendly. It just had the good vibes, too. It seemed like a very friendly place with good people. And the graphics were really cute. Like you said, the sound, music, and all that. It just worked really well.
Kind of wanted to hang out with the Hearthians more, right? Like, if there was a separate game that just started off in Timber Hearth, but you didn't go to space, you just hung out with those guys, that would be pretty cool, honestly.
Okay.
It creeped me out, though, whenever your character would blink and there were 4 eyelids that closed and opened. It's like, oh, that's odd. Makes my brain feel
I thought it was a nice bit of attention to detail, though.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So, how do we want to go about talking about this game?
Oh, how did you guys die the first time?
I think I flew into the sun.
So you actually left the planet first. You didn't get the credits. No. So you actually
No, first way I died was I flew into the sun, I'm pretty sure.
The first time that I died, I flew up and then was flying towards off the planet and then saw something back down on the planet that I was like, oh, what's that? And flew straight down and didn't slow down enough, and I hit something and it just destroyed my ship and killed me.
So I'm the only one that died on foot before I ever got into space then.
How'd you manage that?
Okay.
You know the little geysers that are near where the drone flies off? I wanted to see what would happen if I jumped into one, and it turns out you do take fall damage. So if you die before you get to a certain point in the game, you just roll credits, game's over. It just says, you are dead.
Yeah, there's a moment in the game, too, much later on.
Yes, much later you can get the "You Are Dead."
I got it then. I got it on my second to last run. I got it the "You Are Dead" ending.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuckers. So where do you guys want to start? Like, you kind of...
The thing about this game is it's like super open-ended. Like, it doesn't give you a guideline or tell you what to do or where to go. So, like, basically, your whole thing is the first thing you do is you go to the observatory to meet the guy in charge of the space program to give you the launch code so you can leave. And then from that point on, you have the option to go to anywhere within the solar system, basically. So you can go to the moon, which is called the Addle Rock. You can go to the twin planets, which are the
Ash planet and
Ember.
Ember planet, yeah.
Yeah, the Hourglass twins, which are kind of the Mercury-based.
And then there's the giant water planet. Which, these planet names were escaping my mind, so I apologize for...
Giant Steep, I believe?
That sounds right. Giant Steep. And then there's the Dark Bramble, which is...
Yeah, you remember Dark Bramble. That's the fuckiest one.
And then there's the one that has the black hole in the middle of it.
Brittle Hollow. Brittle Hollow. It's like an ice planet that has a black hole in the center.
And they have...
And it's like falling apart as you play.
The Hollow's Lantern.
I just remembered something. Willie, I just lied to you. The first time I died was at the Dark Bramble. I immediately flew out into space and flew to the Dark Bramble.
You did too?
So I was like...
You went Dark Bramble too?
So I went...
Oh my god, we might have had the same death.
So I went in, and I flew into the hole, and I'm like, oh, okay, the light at the end of the tunnel. So I'm flying towards the light, and I go through another thing, and I'm flying towards the light, and all of a sudden, this giant mouth of an anglerfish opens up and just ate me.
Yeah,
and I was like,
that is actually how my first death out in space happened too. Because I was following the harmonica for Feldspar, who's like the ace pilot that is lost, and that takes you to either the Dark Bramble or to the Bramble Seat on Timberhearth.
Yeah. Which, well, if we touch on that a little bit later, if we remember, there's a mechanic in that section that can suck my butt. But yeah, so you kind of like, as Nate was saying, it's just kind of you were now in a sandbox of sorts where it's like, go figure out how you want to go about the rest of the game.
Yeah. And some of the things that it gives you to do that with the beginning of the game is you get a translator to translate the words that the Nomai people, which were the ancient race that lived in this galaxy before your people did, notes that they had left around. And then other than that, you kind of just have your scout drone, which you can shoot off and use it to take pictures of the surrounding areas, or... It has other uses too, which become more useful later on in the game, which is pretty cool. But those are your two main tools, and then you also have your spacesuit, which allows you to get out of your spaceship. I know both of you probably died a couple of times forgetting to put that fucker on.
Oh, how?
I did that on my third to last run. I literally landed on the Ash Twin, was like trying to figure out what I'm doing. I'm like, wait, did I put on my... And then as I'm running back into my ship, I hear my character go... And then they fucking died.
Like choked by a ghost and phasmophobia.
Yeah.
Man, I did make a choke ghost phasmophobia noise there. So yeah, I guess you're right.
I flew when the first time I went to Giant's Deep. I tried to land and just borked it.
Barrel your way into the center. That's right. You landed on ground, didn't you? You managed to find like the 1% of the landmass of that place that's actually land instead of water.
So I smacked into it, died, tried to land again, and fucked up again. I don't remember what I did, but when I jumped out of my ship to go repair it, I didn't throw on my spacesuit. So then the third time, I landed perfectly and was super excited about it, jumped out of my spaceship to go run around, had forgotten to put my spacesuit on again, and died again. And at that point, I alt F4'd and came back to it later.
See, the funny thing is, the first couple terrible deaths I had, I was laughing my ass off so hard. I'm like, this is the stupidest... Like, I thought I died stupidly in space in Kerbal Space Program. This game lets you die way stupider, way faster.
Yeah.
Like, I was loving my space deaths.
Yeah. I got separated from my ship at one point and then just got pulled into the sun.
Oh man, one of my very first runs, I accidentally blew up my ship because I crashed into the planet, the Timberhearth, and I just, it said like, get out of your ship to repair it. But for some reason I panicked and just fired directly upward. And I'm like, wait, I think the ship's going to blow up. I bailed off of the ship near the Addle Rock. My ship blew up and I managed to land using only my jetpack on the Addle Rock.
Nice. And then you're kind of fucked from there.
Yeah, I had no idea what to do next. So I'm like, wait, hey, what's the guy's name? Esker is the guy that was on the Addle Rock. I was just talking to them like, hey, dude, do you know where I can get another spaceship?
Yeah. How much would you guys like to go into story? So like, I know like as you're progressing through. So one of the things that I thought was really cool was the translator, the way the writing is, you start to realize that these are conversations that you're reading. And it's like the conversation, the sentence will start with one, and then there will be a branching design coming off of it, which is someone's reply and then you end up reading whole conversations like that, which I thought was an interesting way of doing it. I don't know why the Nomai were scribing down their conversations, but it was cool.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of them seemed like they were either written for each other or written for scientific purposes, like the wall scroll ones. Especially.
Yeah, scrolls, yeah. I would say, like, so I was talking about the game and the gameplay itself just a little bit more before we dive too deep into story. Like, the main gameplay loop of this is basically you find something you want to explore, you get into your ship, you go off to it, and you get all the information you can by reading the Nomai stuff and all that kind of information. And then the game will log all of that into your space journal, and you can find out if there's more to see there, so you can decide if you want to go back to that area or if you've uncovered everything there. And then, you either die or the supernova happens, which we haven't talked about yet. And then you start back from the beginning every 22 minutes. So 22 minutes is just the max amount of time you have per life to do anything. And then it starts over. But not without keeping whatever knowledge you've learned. So, like, the thing about this game is progress comes in just what you know. It doesn't really come in any kind of, like, collectible items or anything. The only thing you get is knowledge. So you kind of have a better idea of what to do on your next loop.
Yeah, if you wanted to, with all the information you got from beating the game, you could probably go in and start another file and beat it in 10 minutes. Because you know where shit is. So that's the other thing that's kind of the replayability limit too, is it is a bunch of one-time puzzles. It is a single adventure.
Yeah, it's a game that you can really play one time, which is rare these days. But
I think I know why Blitz wanted us to play this game, because he wanted to experience it through other people's eyes, because you can't play it again for the first time.
I did think the supernova looked cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I liked when the sun finally, like, it's supposed to go red giant, and instead it just slurps back in.
But
did you guys ever see the nova from the Hourglass twins?
Yeah.
Oh, I saw the nova a lot.
The first time I landed on Ember Twin, I landed there like 2 minutes before it went off, and Chert was like going completely apeshit, because that's the moment he realizes, oh, the sun is going to go supernova, so I'm just going to freak the fuck out.
But I'll be the one to say it. The supernova mechanic can suck both my balls. The time limit thing, I fucking hated it. I did.
Did you ever play Majora's Mask?
No.
Because that's the most obvious. Okay. I was saying that's the most obvious comparison point. I didn't play enough of Majora's Mask to comment on it intelligently. Nathan, have you beaten Majora's Mask?
I've never beaten it because I did not like the time travel mechanic in that game.
Right. So we are definitely running into a sticking point here early on, which is it is a little frustrating to have the whole world reset on you. At least this game does have the rumor mode, the map, so it tells you what you learned last time. Because I do think that's almost the only thing.
That is the only thing that really carries over. And the interesting thing about it is it wouldn't be so bad except for in certain parts of the game. Because there are certain things that can only happen based on what time you are in that 22-minute cycle of the game. This really started getting on my nerves towards the end of my playthrough of the game when I was trying to go to this one spot on the Ash Twins a couple times. And the Ash Twin itself is the one that starts off fully covered in sand, and slowly through that 22-minute cycle, the sand gets removed from it and more of the planet opens up. So towards the end of the game, you're having to wait like at least 5 to 7 minutes, I say, before the first pieces of the Ash Twin really open up. And I'm aware that there are campfires on other planets and stuff, but there's not a campfire on the Ash Twin that you can just go to. You have to literally camp on another planet and then get in your plane and then fly back to the Ash Twin if you want to use that mechanic. Irritating and
There's not a campfire on the Ash Twin, but there is if you're going to go there at the beginning of the session, there's a campfire at the very start of the game. And B, if you're going there after a little while, there is a campfire on the other twin planet. So I kind of am not super, like, I did get irritated by shit that happened on the Ash Twin, but it wasn't waiting in particular.
Well, then I can talk about the Ember Twin, where you finally figured out where you need to go. But now you have to do this whole labyrinth again in order to...
That one sucked.
And then the labyrinth has required waiting in pieces, so the cactuses will get covered up, so you can walk over this patch of land where the cactuses usually are, and you can't
I will.
And
I
you
will
can't
grant
fly
you
over it
that one
because
was
the
edgy.
sand pushes you down into the cactuses.
Yeah, that's true. That one was a really irritating puzzle. I mean, I'm glad that she basically were like, Nate was watching me when I was doing that puzzle myself, and he was like, now what happens next is going to be annoying, and you're probably not going to. I'm like, let me think. Do I wait until the cactus gets covered in sand? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, that sucks. And he's like, it sure does.
And like, one thing I don't like in video games is forced waiting, and there's quite a bit of that in this game.
Yeah. Oh, so real quick, I've also played Deathloop, right? Which is a timey-wimey game as well. But everything doesn't loop in that game until you die. So like, there's no time limit. Like, so I guess if you were really good at Deathloop, you could go in there and knock out a lot of the game in one run. Whereas in this one, it was like you were forced to go through run after run after run after run after run after run. And I feel like that's almost just artificial extension in a way. But yeah, I don't know.
And like, it's irritating when there's like things that get taken away from you halfway through the loop, and then you have to die to start over to get through it again because there's no reverse the time kind of mechanic.
There is a way to die instantly.
How?
If you, after you've been through the loop a couple times, if you go meet Gabbro on Giant's Deep, they teach you a meditate ability that immediately basically kills you and starts you over at the beginning.
Yeah, I never found that, so I had to find creative ways to kill myself every time.
So just burning through all your fuel until it burned oxygen, burning all your oxygen. I did that a few times too.
I didn't know that you could use other campfires. So literally every time I started over on the first planet and just ran up the thing and took off.
Oh, no, you do have to start at the first planet every time.
Yeah.
You can't...
We're just saying you can wait at campfires.
Oh.
You can use them to sleep. And
yeah, you can't spawn in at a different planet, unfortunately.
Okay.
That would be pretty cool, though, yeah. Thinking like Bonfire from Souls games.
Yeah, that's what I thought y'all were getting at, was that it was just like, oh, you could start from there. Oh, well, shit, I didn't know that.
No, that would have changed
No, just
things,
you can
I
take a
feel
nap.
like.
It would have been cool to have some fast travel. I mean, it obviously wouldn't have made sense because the entire story of the game is about a time loop that starts at a specific place and ends at a specific place.
So I think that's the game mechanically. So then it really does get into like story of it. And the main story is like, well, obviously you find out you're in this time loop and you're trying to figure out how to prevent the world from blowing up in 22 minutes once you realize that that is what is happening. And it's all told through, like we mentioned, those Nomai writings. So you get to learn about it through all of that. As far as story goes, I thought it was fairly interesting. It didn't do a whole lot for me personally. I wasn't like super invested in any of the characters living or dead. Like, I don't know.
That's interesting. It's interesting too. Is I liked the living characters, but like the individual Nomai, even though we were told their relationships a whole bunch of time, I'm like, okay, I've seen this name before, but the only one I actually really cared about it all was Solanum, and also probably because I met her ghost.
Yeah. Other than that, it's just like, okay, so these are just nameless, faceless. Mm-hmm. Oh, they might have names,
faceless,
but
they're not nameless.
Yeah, there's nothing for you to really associate with them other than just some writing,
right.
So you don't really have an attachment to them.
Right.
Did you guys pick up on the naming themes for both of the species, by the way?
I can't say I did.
I guess
all the Harthians are named after minerals, and all of the Nomai are named after plants. It's like, for instance, Solanum is nightshade and tomatoes and things.
Gotcha.
Like that.
Oh.
But like that's like the first person you meet is Slate, the pilot, and then Feldspar is.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Like that's not like a huge like important breakthrough. I just thought it was kind of cool.
No, I do like that. That's interesting. But like, I'm just trying to think of where to.
Did you guys ever come up with like any like theories that turned out to be completely wrong? Because I'll tell you guys my first theory that was completely wrong. The first place I died when I went into space was in the dark bramble inside the white hole. And you know how in the white or black hole, whatever, it's not even a white hole. It's the timey-wimey pocket dimension. But so you know how you get attracted there by the harmonica tune of Feldspar, right? I honestly thought that was the anglerfish themselves broadcasting that tune, and that was the lure, like, the lure of an anglerfish. I thought it was like a sonic lure, and I thought that was a really cool idea. It turned out I completely made that shit up. That was not actually canon. But it's a neat idea, right? And I think the game making me think of shit like that I think it really got me bought into the world for that kind of reason,
There were a couple moments in the game too that made me feel like I was a fucking genius. Like, because when I finally started realizing how the scout thing worked, and that I could use it to basically navigate through the dark bramble. That's when the game really opened up for me. It was like when I finally realized, because it gives you a hint at it so early in the game. It's like, hey, go find the dark bramble seed on the timber hearth and shoot your thing into it. It took me a while to realize that, oh, wait, if I leave while my scout is still inside there, I pick up the signal from like 20 kilometers away. I should go check that out.
And this is something Nathan helped me with, too. He gave me this hint. This is one of the things he told me, basically. Do this shit, because you like, Dark Bramble has a lot of puzzles.
And it does turn out to be one of the more interesting areas of the game. And the thing I think is kind of funny about it is, in the end, there's only like 3 planets that are really super important to beating the game.
Yeah. And while we're on the Dark Bramble, I despised the section, because this might go back to the whole waiting thing, but like the sections where you just had to float through, you couldn't drive any, because if you did, the fish would just come out of nowhere and eat you from some direction. Yeah, because they like picked up on movement.
Where did you guys get that hint from? Because I, honest to God, didn't get that hint, and Blitz basically had to tell me, hey, they're blind, they're reacting.
It was, I got it from somewhere, like one of the Nomai slates somewhere.
Was it in the name the Sunless City?
Have been.
Like where the anglerfish fossil? No. The anglerfish fossil is there, so I thought that might have been.
I honestly don't remember where I got all the hints for everything from, because like the things, you find things in places you don't expect to, because like and the other time that I felt like a genius in this game was when I was trying to figure out how to get into the statue factory on the ocean planet.
Oh, so you actually figured out to go underneath quickly? Because that took me a damn sight of a lot. I figured out once I got launched into space from there that I could fly under.
Oh! And so, like, while I was in space, I was, like, in my jetpack, and I flew under the island to get in there. Is that not the intended solution?
I think I literally went in through it, through the water, using like as much just juice as I could.
I waited until I was up in space.
Your way is way cooler. That's so awesome, actually.
You know, when I go ahead, Willie.
So, sorry, audience. Giant's Deep is it's kind of like a gas giant planet, except it's completely water based for the most part. But there's storms on it that shoot islands, the like 3 land masses on the planet, into space every now and then. Yeah. And so you have a brief moment of zero gravity.
That's how I ended up getting separated from my ship and floating into the sun. Was I got thrown off of Giant's Deep, and there was nothing I could do about it. My jetpack was out of fuel, so I just floated. And it sent me straight into the sun.
Thrown from Giant's Deep to the sun? That's like one of the furthest planets.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty dope.
Just floating through space, nothing I could do because I had no jetpack. So, gotta love it.
I really like the game's, like the way it handles the physics too, because obviously it's modeling the physics of everything that's going on at all times. Like, there's that little thing at the beginning of the game where if you go into the museum and you see the little balls rolling around on the floor, it tells you like you could feel the tidal pull of the Adel rock, and if you jump at that area, it actually pulls you a little bit. You don't land exactly where you jumped from. And like, I thought the physical modeling of the game was really fascinating.
Interesting question about the game. I just thought about this. Do you ever think about the scale of it? Like how the planets were like 20 kilometers
it's super
away.
tiny.
How small was the sun? Like how small must the planets and the people actually have been?
Well, I was thinking of it kind of like in Kerbal Space Program, it's like a toy solar system. It's like 1/6 the size of ours, but it's like way denser to make that work. And so they had to go even further in that direction, and I thought that was really neat.
When I landed on a planet and then ran completely around it, I was like, we are not in No Man's Sky anymore.
Oh, no, you could do Mario Galaxy-ass jumps, and I really loved doing that. Where you did this big, like, woohoo! And, like, circumnavigate a planetoid.
Yeah, it was interesting for sure. I was thinking to myself, like, are we just really big? Is that what it is? Like, is this as a species just big, and these planets just look small because we are all huge? But
I mean, it gives us the units in metric system units, and it's just a really tiny ass, like, the entire solar system is smaller.
I think you
than
are
Earth.
Relatively big compared to the planets as a person. Yeah,
yes.
I think, like, relatively speaking, you are big.
Yeah.
But it's because the planets are so
That's
small.
what I tell people all the time. I mean, relatively speaking, I'm big. I got a belly, but I mean, it's relative to my butt.
Relative.
So like you go through, and I can't to tell you how much this game stuck with me. Let me go ahead and say apologies to Blitz, because I know I'm being mean to this game, but I also like this is good proof that we're not shills. I don't remember half of what happened. I remember like you go, so you guys can help me fill in details for sure. But I remember you find out that through doing science, they fucked the world, and you now have to unfuck the world, and you hope it doesn't get destroyed. But then you unfuck the world, and everybody sits around as it dies and dies for fucking good. And that's what I remember about the game.
That's a simplified but fairly adequate description of the plot, I think. Like, I don't think anything you said is wrong per se. It's simplified, but it's not wrong.
I know there's more to it. That's why I was saying you guys can definitely fill in more details, but it's just, I don't know. It just didn't stick with me. And I wonder if that goes back to that how hyped this game has been on the internet for so long that I was, I guess, expecting something more.
I guess basically the main idea is that the Nomai essentially, they couldn't find enough power to do something they wanted to do to find, there's a thing they're looking for called the Eye of the Universe, which is some kind of artifact in space and time that is older than the universe as we know it, essentially. And so they're trying to locate it, and the Nomai in this system discover that the Eye of the Universe is near one of the planets in the system, but it's not a planet you can reach just through ordinary space travel. So basically, they set up a system near the sun to siphon power out of the sun in order to basically send probes in every which direction. And every 22 minutes, basically, it'll kind of warp back to the start so they can continue sending probes. Like, it ends up being like the 8 millionth probe that finds the Eye of the Universe.
Yeah. And then you get that direction from that, too, so that you're able to find that with a warp core that you end up pulling out of the Ash Twins project in the Ash Twin.
That was a fun brain fart. I got to watch your face just go through so many fun contortions.
Then the fact that the conversations are in text makes a little more sense now because they're writing it down. So in the next loop, it'll still be there for them to read and see.
Right.
Okay. I got you.
Yeah. And so like, the way that you end up, winning the game is you get that warp core and the coordinates, and you find the original Nomai vessel in the Dark Bramble and use it to warp to the Eye of the Universe, essentially, which is where you end the game.
And that's I think the coolest aesthetic that I saw in the entire game was when you pop into that forest, and the forest is just full of little galaxies everywhere, but they all start to supernova cool and disappear.
Yeah, that was really neat.
And I figured that was representations of all of the other time loops, basically. You know, that was where they were happening, was in this infinite forest of loops. And now that was no longer a thing, they were blowing up and disappearing. So that was cool. I thought that was a really cool scene.
I think there was a lot of places you can interpret the ending to, and I kind of wonder what you guys got out of the ending. Because, again, like I said, this is going to be a really spoilery episode, so I'm not too concerned about that. Again, people, if you think this game sounds interesting, play it on your own. There's a lot of really cool shit in it. Once you've heard it, you can't unhear it, I think.
Yeah, well, we don't have to tell them how to get the time warp.
Yeah, I don't know. So how did you interpret it, Willie? Because, like, I think, like, at this point, you're kind of the one that I think enjoyed everything whole cloth the most out of the three of us. So I'm kind of wondering what your interpretation is.
So my idea is, they said that the Eye of the Universe is older than the universe, right? And at the end of the game, it's pretty clear that what occurs is a big crunch and big bang, right? I think the Eye of the Universe in our universe is the last living survivor of the previous universe before that cycle. And I think you become the Eye of the next universe.
Huh.
Also, because of the ending you got, Nate, you actually missed something kind of important on the end screen, which when it shows like the recreation of a planet that's similar to Timor-Hearth, if you met Solanum, you actually see a couple of weird like mantis creatures on a campfire, very similar to where you started.
Because I never found that character, but I did reach what I thought was the true ending of the game. Maybe not. Who knows? But yeah, no, I basically just interpreted it as an even larger loop, essentially. How, like, instead of the game just being that 22-minute loop, now we're going back to a more universal Big Bang, Big Crunch loop, and that this whole thing's just happening again after that in this new loop kind of situation.
I agree. I think that's the idea, is instead of a 22-minute loop, we're on a 14 billion year loop, essentially. But that, I don't know, I thought that the eye was supposed to be something intelligent. And I kind of got the idea that maybe that's where your character comes in. Like, that now you're the eye the next time around. And if an observer finds you, then that'll end that version of the universe. And it's all about saying goodbye, you know? It's like, it's a tiny solar system with 22-minute blocked-in path. But on the other hand, like, we live in a small world where we're blocked in for like 70, 80 years in one planet. And like, no matter how much bigger you expand it, it seems like it's still about eventually everything has an ending, even if it's the entire fucking universe.
Yeah. I thought it was kind of like accepting fate. You know what I mean? It's like denial. So everything keeps repeating itself. And then you finally figure out the problem and you accept what's going to happen and it ends. You know, it's almost like you could look at it like...
It's a very Buddhist idea, what you said. Like, you're breaking free of the cycle of samsara.
Yeah. I also equated it to like, you know, getting into like a depression loop where it's the cycle's just going to keep repeating unless you do something to remedy the situation. And so there was a bunch of different ways that I took the way that the game played out. But again, for everything that I thought was cool about the way it ended and the questions that it asked and all of that, like, it's just the actual gameplay of the game really just held it back for me. But I give the story some credit.
It really determines how much you enjoyed the way it told the story, because ultimately this game is almost like a walking simulator in space. It is Kerbal Space Program meets Gone Home.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And just how much you vibe with that idea, I think, is going to determine how much you get out of it. Like, you know, whether you found the story resonant or not. And I did, and I think you guys got it less resonant with you guys. But I still think that, yeah, I thought that, like, at least the game is an interesting engine for its own little stories, too. Because out of all those 22-minute loops, you saw some really stupid shit happen. And usually it was your own damn fault.
Oh, I'd love to see them take this engine and like do an RPG or something in it. I think that would be fun because their physics were fun to deal with. But just don't make it an RPG where everything resets every 20 minutes. Or if you're going to do that, make it a roguelike or something, you know? I don't know.
If it was a roguelike, it'd be even more frustrating because then you're just dead.
You are dead. Thought you were hot, but you are not. You are dead. No, it's one of the best death screens ever. Well, you always got anything else you'd like to touch on with the Outer Wilds? Is there anything you want to dive in deeper on? Maybe even Giants deeper? Before we do some ratings?
Oh, did you guys have any like specific like flights that went a way you didn't expect or anything silly like that?
No, I think I pretty much covered that when I was talking about things that before I felt like a goddamn genius with a couple things that I did. Like, I don't think I have anything additional to add to it.
I have one. I forgot that autopilot was a thing for a long time. So like I was trying to fly at these planets and I would be like too far up. And I didn't realize for a while that the lines coming off were directions to where I was needing to be at. So there were times that I would fly towards a planet and I'd miss it. Fuck, I had to turn around, go fly back towards it, miss it. Fuck! Turn around, fly back towards it, finally land on it. But I'm going too fast, smack into it and die. God damn it.
Oh, man. The first time I tried to land on the Hourglass Twins, I had a perfect landing on Ember Twin, and I felt like a goddamn genius. Every other time after that, for like my next 10 attempts, I slingshotted around the sun and found myself out in deep space.
Did either of you fall into the black hole on accident?
Oh, yeah.
The black hole in the middle of Brittle Hollow?
Yeah.
Dude, I fell in there like 400 times.
God damn it.
That's why I was really glad I found the meditate trick, because otherwise, yeah, you're just in deep space without your ship.
Next to the,
I guess you can go through the White
Hole Station.
White Hole Station, but it's still a bit of a schlep from there.
But I was just like, well...
Yeah, especially because of all the platforming right there. It's just like, oh, one wrong step, you're in the black hole. Fuck! Now I have to reset.
Yeah, no,
I figured you would have been really. I figured you would have been really good at platforming, though. Like, did you do good at like getting like from like the middle point of the planet to the hanging city?
I thought the platform was extraordinarily janky, especially when you had the little gravity pegs that made you be able to walk on walls and stuff.
Oh, that made me sick. That straight up threw my equilibrium.
I did run into some. I ran into some issues with them too, because it's like the button that is basically shoot up against gravity, like, doesn't always do what you think it's going to when you're coming between a peg and not on a peg.
And that whole, like, it was a good idea, but I thought the way it was implemented was very janky. Like, there were times where, like, you would just be walking up, and then for some reason the gravity would let you go, and you would start falling in a direction that you don't expect to be falling in because you were walking straight up, and now you're falling sideways.
And so you mash buttons and it's the wrong one.
I did not love that mechanic.
Yeah, and
I'm with you on that.
And the platforming sometimes felt I'll say buttery, but not in like a buttery smooth way. It was like slippery almost.
Yeah, there was a difference between which planets you were onto. Some planets were a lot more fun to do that stuff on. Others, like bunny hopping across the Ash Twin, was great because there was low gravity and you could just go real fast. But then there was planets like if you tried to do anything on the Giant Steep, it sucked.
Yeah, it was like
when I said fucking Mario Galaxy jumping, I was definitely thinking about leaping across the equator on the Ash Twin and going across a quarter of the planet's width.
Yeah, no, Giant Steep I think had 1.7 gravity or something like that. So it was like your jetpack was basically useless on that planet.
Yeah, even if you used the booster, you really couldn't do anything.
And then
unless, like Nathan, you were a genius and went into space.
There is one more thing that I thought was cool that I just remembered because it reminded me of SCP, and it was the rocks that were
the quantum
basically
stones,
sentient, and they would move if you looked away from them, but you could take a picture of them with your scout, and then they wouldn't move because you were constantly looking at them because they were on screen. I thought that was a cool mechanic.
Did you find the shrine that explained that mechanic, or did you just figure out on your own that you could use the camera? Because I had to go to the shrine that tells you about how to do that before I figured that out.
I honestly used my knowledge of SCP stuff.
Wow.
I literally thought about the one that only moves when you don't look at it. And I was like, well, how do I keep it? So I was just running around, just kind of like staring at it as long as I could. And I realized that wasn't going to work. And I'm like, fuck, what's this? Oh, I wonder. And I snapped a picture of it. And I was like, oh, fuck yeah. Okay. It worked.
That's cool that we found different ways to get that eureka moment. Nate, you figured it out on your own too, because I know you didn't go to that shrine. So how did you figure out that cameras would be good?
So honestly, where I used the camera the most was actually as a marker. I didn't have a whole lot of the puzzles with the quantum stones or whatever, but like, in the Sunless City, when you were trying to get back to the, where you were trying to find your way to the anglerfish, that's where I found out about the anglerfish having hearing problems. When I tried to get to the anglerfish fossil, one of the hints is like, bring a light and throw the light by the anglerfish so you can find it easier. It's like if you throw your scout there, it has a light on it so you can find your way from the maze below back up to the anglerfish room.
Oh, wow. I never got physically into the anglerfish room, so that's really cool. Damn. So it's like, even in this game where we all figured out the main puzzles, like, we found the end solution without figuring out every puzzle. So I gotta say, that's gotta be a credit for game design that they fucking found a way that you could only solve like 60% of the game, but still beat it, you know?
Yeah, in a way, it reminds me of like the games like Stalker and stuff like that, where they drop you in and you have like objectives, but there are multiple ways you can go around getting that done, God,
we're gonna do Stalker for the show at some point, right?
A good immersive sim, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We'll play Stalker at some point. It's like, I want to do Stalker. I want to do Prey. I want to do, like System Shock, like those,
Yeah, we haven't done any sims
Deus
yet,
Ex.
Yeah, Deus Ex is like the one. Like, when I was like hyping up Half-Life to Nate, I was actually probably thinking about Deus Ex about 90% of the way.
Well, yeah, boys, that's Outer Wilds. Definitely check it out. Biltzy, thank you for your contribution. We hope we did the game justice. We want to do some ratings. Who wants to start?
I'll lead, because it's obvious that I think I kind of got the intended experience out of the game more than you guys did. You guys were more critical about certain, irritants and things that bothered you, and I kind of took it at face value in a lot of ways. But ultimately, I really enjoyed it as a puzzle box. I enjoyed it as a setting, and I did enjoy the story more than I think you guys did too. So I think for me, I think this is basically a game that, for me at least, it's like you were trying to make a really self-contained story that does a lot of wacky shit, and there's a lot of really like clever stuff done in the game to make it fit within the world that, you know what I mean? Like, it's a small and yet huge world at the same time, and I think it's interesting. And I think I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. I know that you guys ain't gonna get anywhere near that score, but I think that's how I ended up with it, because in the end, I found myself kind of crying tears when all them little supernova galaxies happened at the end of the game, and I realized, oh shit, this is the end. We didn't stop it, we didn't fix it, we just
allowed it to happen.
We were there. We got to see it. We broke the loop. We literally broke the loop because we killed the thing that, makes the time loop happen. The moment you pull that core out, the universe's fate is sealed. but we got to see the eye, we got to be there, and I don't know, it felt kind of moving and interesting. So I'm going to go with 9 harmonica solos out of 10 banjos.
All right. I thought it was an interesting concept. There was a lot of things that irritated me about it, but it gets points to me for the aesthetic of it, because I thought it was a really interesting looking game. I'll give it credit for, I thought the planets were cool. The mechanics and stuff kind of held some of it back for me, but I thought in general, like, the planets were interesting enough. And I thought that ending sequence was quite good. But there was just so much that had been overhyped to me about this game. And I think, again, that I'm keep coming back to that, because that is a big problem in gaming is overhype. Nate, I know you agree with me on this. That's probably why I'll never play Earthbound, because people talk about that game like it's the second coming of Jesus, and I'm going to go back to it. It's probably dated as shit now, and I'm going to be like, what's the deal with this? You know what I'm saying? So hype is a problem. No Man's Sky went through that. They recovered. You know what I mean?
It's like they used to say about Triple H. He's an 8 out of 10 wrestler that everyone talks about like a 10 out of 10, so you think he's a 7 out of 10.
Yeah. There you go. So I'm going to give the Outer Wilds 6.5 fire places out of 10 smacking into planets and dying.
Yeah. And the place I come from for this game is, like, I feel like I came at it with almost the optimal what you're told to do. Like, as far as when I came into this game, I knew very much, like, nothing about it. I didn't even know that this was a game that took place in outer space where I'd be flying a spaceship. Like, I came in hella blind, where I, like, knew barely nothing at all, except that everyone says this game was going to be a life-changing experience, and it has this super hype around it. And this is not the fault of the game, but I kept waiting for that life-changing experience to happen, and it never came close to being a quote-unquote life-changing experience. I have that problem with a lot of media that people say is life-changing and all that. I have, and this might be a fault on me as a human being, but I've never experienced a piece of media that I found life-changing. And so I'm still waiting for that experience in my life.
Yeah, I've played many a good game. I've watched many a good thing, but I've never felt like my life is different after.
Yeah.
You know, it's just I either got really good enjoyment out of whatever it was, or I didn't like whatever it was, and that's kind of just how it goes.
Yeah, and that's how I feel too. And so I think this game suffered from that because it did have that hype factor for a game that I didn't even know what the gameplay was like. For a game that I didn't know what it looked like or anything, I was like, okay, but this is going to be that amazing of an experience. And in the end, I thought it was okay. Like, I didn't think it was a great game. I didn't think it was a bad game. I thought it executed well on the things that it wanted to, but I didn't have that wow factor or that thing that blew me away. And in a lot of regards, the things that I didn't like held it back from the things that I did like Dalton was saying. I'm going to actually just 1000% agree with Dalton on here. Like, I'd be lying if I gave it a 7 or higher, because those were like positive scores. And this is, I feel bad saying it, but this is the definition of mid to me. So this game does get a 6 Timber Hearths out of 10 Addle Rocks.
And one of the things too with a game that's super hyped and going in blind is you start to wonder, ooh, what's this going to be like? And you start to put together things in your head about like what you want to be in the game. So like, Nate, I'll just use you as an example. Like, somebody's like, oh man, wait till you check out this game, man. It's going to change your life. Like, you thought you liked Hollow Knight, you just wait until you play this. Well, then immediately in your brain, you're like, oh, it's going to be better than Hollow Knight. Oh, what's going to have to do this, and this to live up to it. And then you get to playing the game and you're like, well, this is like Battleship Brigade. Why are they telling me this is like Hollow Knight? Like, what is this? It's a completely different experience. You know, so that can happen too when you build up. Now, I'm not saying you did this. I'm just using you as an example. But you people can build up a false narrative in their head, and then they get into the game and it's not what they want it to be. And I think that's what happened with lots of games that come out and then just squander. Not that this game squandered, but people get these high expectations, and then the game comes out and it's not what they want it to be, and the internet collectively just goes, and then that game is toast.
I mean, I feel like I had a similar vibe with Ori and the Blind Forest, where everyone's like, yeah, this game's beautiful, it's going to be amazing. And it's like, it is pretty, but I've played far better Metroidvanias.
100%.
Yeah, that game was beautiful, but fuck was it frustrating.
And not in the fun way that Hollow Knight is.
I was going to say, we've played frustrating Metroidvanias that were fun.
Yeah. And so, like, Biltzy, I hope you're not too upset that me and Dalton didn't get as much enjoyment and love out of it, but at least Willie did, so, like...
Yeah. We still love you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know I'm going to get a notification on Patreon. Biltzy has canceled their Patreon subscription. Reason why. Fuck Dalton and Nate.
All my homies hate Dalton and Nate.
Man, so that means I get to make a poll after this episode because our next episode up... No, I know this is almost house cleaning, but our next episode up I am super excited about. That is Pathologic 2.
Oh, right.
Which is another one that people say go in blind, don't know anything about it. All I know about Pathologic 2 is it is a not happy game.
Yeah, I've been told it's going to hurt me.
It's like people were like, this is not a game you play for enjoyment. This is a game you play to experience. And I'm like, all right, let's see how this goes. But yeah, so we
But I enjoyed getting some tears out because I won't lie, I kind of cried a little bit at the ending of this game.
Hey man, that's
because I'm a little bitch baby, and fucking when the end theme song hits in credits, sometimes I cry.
No, dude, I cry at media all the time, but this one just didn't do it to me.
Fair enough.
Yeah, believe me, man. Like I cry at like sad commercials and shit. So it's just like it doesn't take much for me. As soon as I start hearing is it Sheryl Crow?
No,
Sarah McLachlan.
Yeah, same person. It's just 90s female country singer, same person.
I like that me and Nate both exactly knew it.
Yeah, dude. Because you're both in the arms of the angels. We got some questions, boys. The first one comes in from El Jefe, and it's a red pill, blue pill. On the red pill, we have Prey, Alien Isolation, Dead Space, and No Man's Sky. Blue pill, we have Mad Max, Days Gone, Dying Light, and Metro Exodus. And my brain just put together how those games correlate with each other. So, red pill, space games. Blue pill, post-apocalyptic games. Which one you taking?
I've literally only played one of these video games, so it has to be red.
Yeah, like No Man's Sky is really good. Metro seems interesting, but I also want to give that whole column a negative vote because Dying Light seems like the opposite of things I would enjoy. So it's got to be red for me.
All right. So I think it's a little harder of a choice for me because Dying Light is interesting. It's a like a parkour zombie game. It's fun. Metro Exodus is fire. The Metro games are awesome. I cannot wait for us to get around to those eventually. But I could give a shit about Days Gone or Mad Max. I love No Man's Sky. I hate Alien Isolation. I mentioned wanting to play Prey earlier, and Dead Space is awesome. So I'm going red pill as well. We're space boys apparently.
Space boys.
Now,
Which is funny because I don't generally consider myself a space person. Because if you give me like high fantasy over sci-fi, I'm taking high fantasy 10 out of 10 times.
oh yeah, if that had been
You've literally said you're never going to space if it's an option.
if that had been go ahead.
Space is terrifying. I know I've gone into this in many episodes of this show. Space is terrifying. I don't want to be in space.
Had that blue pill been like Elder Scrolls, Gothic 2, and like the fantasy games, I'd have been taking blue pill all day. But so Jeff's next question: if someone offered you $5 million to eat the same thing for 20 days straight, what are you eating?
Bro, 20 days to eat the same thing in a row, like for $5 million, like I could have just done this in college just with ramen noodles. Like it is not hard to eat the same thing for 20 days straight, especially if there's a $5 million price at the end.
I was gonna say I would eat cake made with.
Pretty sure I did that with Subway sandwiches.
I would make cake made with piss for 20 days straight for $5 million.
Right, like this is yeah. You're just basically saying eat the same thing. Sure, give me a burrito. I'll eat a burrito every day for 20 days straight and be perfectly content. This is the easiest challenge I've ever seen.
Yeah, give me Marie Callender chicken pot pies. Give me some pizza. I'll eat cheeseburgers.
Hot Pockets, I'm fine. Fuck it.
Fucking taquitos. Like, yeah, there are plenty of things.
You underestimate how little bit of pickiness I have with food.
I think this is a harder question for people who are picky with food. Whereas I'd
be like, I'll fucking eat Burger King every day. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, dude, I'll so what is that? Supersize me?
Bro.
I'll do that shit 20 days straight.
Known fact, Willie, for 20 days straight for $5 million, I would just eat deviled eggs. And you know how I feel about
I do.
And you know
first
how I
would be-
feel about deviled eggs.
Your farts would be hella rank.
They're disgusting. Deviled eggs are the grossest thing in the world, and I would do that for
them.
I'm so glad you hate deviled eggs, because that means every time we both show up at a family function, I get all your deviled eggs.
Straight, I would eat that for $5 million. No question.
Right. It turns out that's a lot of dollars.
Dude, that's like when you try to comprehend how much money like Jeff Bezos has, and you're like, oh, well, you take $1 million and then you multiply that by a million or 1,000 or whatever. You're just like,
yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. So the next
Jeffrey Bezos.
The next El Jefe question: eliminate one place. We have Chipotle, McDonald's, Burger King, Chick-fil-A, Taco Bell, Subway, Starbucks, KFC, or Domino's. This is easy as shit.
I had some thoughts about this one. So,
well, then, Willie, you had thoughts. You go first.
Okay, so here's the first thought. A lot of these are fungible with other places. Like Subway, like you're not losing that much on Subway because you could go to Quiznos, Penn Station, fucking Firehouse Subs. McDonald's and Burger King, obviously each other's counterpoints and all that. Chipotle, you could always go to Qdoba. KFC, for sure you could be eating fucking Popeyes or Bojangles or Raising Cane's. Domino's, like, maybe the least of the big four pizza chains. I mean, I know that they apparently fixed their shit and it's supposed to taste like food now. I don't believe them. Starbucks, like, the worst coffee shop. Like, every place that does the same things Starbucks does, they do it better. That being said, man, Chick-fil-A is the most just grotesquely overrated place of all time. Like, it is just soggy, bad meat, not good, doesn't taste good. Every other chicken place, Popeyes and everyone else, does the Chick-fil-A sandwich but better. McDonald's does the Chick-fil-A sandwich but better. There is no reason for Chick-fil-A to continue to exist in the year of our Lord 2025.
No Jesus chicken in the year of our Lord.
Right.
This is one of the easier ones for me. Chipotle is overrated garbage. I've only been to Chipotle a handful of times, and every time I've been there, it's been just bland as fuck. So
the thing is, you could always get Qdoba or even Taco Bell instead.
I would prefer Taco Bell over Chipotle. So I'm getting rid of Chipotle, even though like I don't like Starbucks coffee at all, but like they have some snacks in there that I think are tasty. So
yeah, and I have a weird soft spot for Subway. Like, I know they suck ass, but I used to enjoy the way they sucked ass, and one day they'll suck ass again in a way that I enjoy.
So what about you,
Yeah,
Nate?
Subway's hot garbage, dude. There is no time in the world that I'm ever going to pick Subway over any of the other 8 restaurants in that circle, and I hate Burger King. So...
Oh, dude, Nate hurts. I was certain he was going to go with Burger King, but yeah. Now, Nate knows his sandwiches. He's like, I could go to Jimmy John's. I could go to Witchflitch. I could go to fucking...
There's no reason to go to Subway.
Jersey Mike's.
My wife disagrees. My wife likes Subway, so sometimes I have to eat there. But there is no reason to eat at Subway.
My parents will get Subway every now and then, and I'm like, just get me a Philly. That's just get me that toasted. I can make that work. I would rather drive... There's a fucking local Subway. I'd rather drive to Middleburg, which is a 30-minute drive, to go to Firehouse Sub.
Yeah. Firehouse is way better.
Exactly.
Go get that beef cheddar brisket.
That hook and ladder.
I love when they're
meatball sub.
Like, hey, on your brisket sandwich, do you want mayonnaise or do you want barbecue sauce? And I'm like, yes.
Yes.
Because if you take barbecue sauce, like a sweet Baby Ray's style sauce, and you mix mayonnaise with it, congratulations, you just made Chick-fil-A sauce. So everyone loves Chick-fil-A sauce and all. They're like, oh, that's why I like Chick-fil-A, yada, yada. It's literally mayonnaise and barbecue sauce mixed together. So now you know.
Is that the Polynesian sauce? That's the one everyone goes ape shit for?
No, this is the literal just Chick-fil-A sauce. The Polynesian sauce is a little different.
The Polynesian sauce is the one that people... I imagine... I haven't had it. I'm just imagining it's like sweet and sour.
I had a funny moment. I took a girl and we went there one time to Chick-fil-A, and I got Chick-fil-A sauce. She got Polynesian sauce. And she's like, oh, the Polynesian sauce is so good. It's so good, yada, yada, yada. And she was like, I've never had the Chick-fil-A sauce. Let me try that. And she tastes it, and she's like, oh, my God, this is so much better than the Polynesian sauce. What the fuck? Why didn't I know that? And I'm like, fat boy knows what's up. I'm not going to steer you wrong.
It's like, you fat boy, you know, Burger King, the onion rings ain't great, but that zesty dipping sauce they got, that makes it a package.
So this next question comes in from a dude named Dalton. What is 1 HP of damage in real life? So I can give you what I think it is, because when it's
like, it really depends on what skill you're running with, because there's a difference between like a level 1 D&D wizard versus a Final Fantasy 9 character,
just
you know?
1 HP of human damage. My opinion is when I take Lilith outside and I'm throwing her big ball with her. Sometimes when I throw it, my grip, I guess, is too tight, and it will push on my fingertips and make them sore for like 10 seconds after I throw the ball. And I think that is 1 HP of damage to my hand.
I think it's just a paper cut, man. Like, every time you get a paper cut, it sucks. It's not going to kill you. But I bet there is a certain number of paper cuts that you could get that eventually you would pass out.
You get exactly 9999 paper cuts.
That 10,000th one kills you.
You get KO'd. Yes, you got to get the Phoenix down on you. I was going to say, I'm thinking more like psychic damage, but I think you take 1 hit point of psychic damage every time you don't do the right number of steps going up or down the stairs. Every time you either do 1 step further down or 1 step further up than there actually is. Because like if you do 1 too few, you just trip. That's just actual damage. But the psychic damage you take from thinking there's 7 steps going up and there's only 6, that is 1 hit point of psychic damage.
So talk about like walking down the sidewalk and you're stepping perfectly in the squares, and then you mess up and you step on a crack, and suddenly your mom can't walk.
She took so many hit points of damage.
Yeah, but you
actually that's a status effect, not a hit point damage.
Okay. This next one comes in from Kana. You can choose 3 of these to be real. I'm gonna do my best to try to read these because there's like a shimmer on 1 or 2 of them. So I'll
tell you what I think I see on these.
Arby's,
opening it up.
Bimbo Burger King, Clit Chick-fil-A.
I think it's Cat Boy.
I think that's Cat Boy.
Okay. Cat Boy Chick-fil-A. Cat Girl Chipotle.
Dilf Buffalo Wild Wings.
Dilf. I was like, is that Bilf? What is that bitch I'd like to fuck? Okay, yeah. Dilf Buffalo Wild Wings. E-Girl Applebee's. Femboy Hooters. Fem Domino's.
Fem Domino's is really good shit.
Goth IHOP.
I didn't see that before.
Himbo Pizza Hut. MILF Denny's. Monster Girl McDonald's. Power Bottom Panera Bread. Subway. Tomboy Outback, Trans Pride Taco Bell, and Waifu Wendy's.
All right. So there's 2 that I would definitely just want to go to because that's kind of my jam, and that would be Goth IHOP and MILF Denny's. And you know what? I'm an ally, so let's go with Trans Pride Taco Bell.
The fucked up thing is, even when this question came in, I'm like, it isn't necessarily for me, but Trans Pride Taco Bell has to exist because I fucking love Taco Bell anyway, and I think these people should deserve more delicious tacos.
Goth IHOP and MILF Denny's. I mean, come on.
You're goddamn right.
I'm really easily into alt Arby's, dude. They have the meat.
I'm definitely going.
I think
go ahead and finish up, Willie.
I think it's got to be all Arby's, Trans Pride Taco Bell, and as much as I like Buffalo Wild Wings, I'm actually not really. I'm more of the DILF rather than the DILF seeker, So I think I'm going to go with Goth IHOP. I think that's the juice.
Well, it's no surprise to anyone that Goth IHOP is getting the trifecta because that's got to be a place that I go to.
What's up?
I'm also putting MILF Denny's because love me a MILF, and I love my trans friends. I'm glad that you guys would have the Pride Taco Bell. But I am a simple, horny man who likes anime. So my third one is Waifu Wendy's.
Waifu Wendy's? Damn, I kind of can't believe I overlooked Waifu Wendy's that fast, because that is actually pretty tempting now that you say it out loud.
Picture like an anime chick behind the counter being like, what would you like to order, Uwu? And then you'd be like, let me get a number 2. Oh, what a good choice, senpai.
I'm glad that they think it's a good choice so you don't end up at like Tsundere Taco John's.
No, that'd be fun. Is that what you think you're going to fucking order, you measly little shit? Yes, ma'am.
Now you've got a little too far into the Fem Domino's direction.
You want pepperoni on that? No.
Do I?
So this one comes in from Fenris, and Fenris actually wrote this one out. Here are 5 kids' TV shows. One of them has to go. Pokemon, Digimon, Dragon Ball Z, Yu-Gi-Oh, or Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Oh, I'm not making friends on this one. I'm sorry.
Ooh, I have a very easy answer for this. Mine is Yu-Gi-Oh.
Same. I couldn't give a shit about Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah, getting rid of Yu-Gi-Oh. I love all of those other ones much more than I ever got into Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah. Sorry, guys, but as bullshit as Yu-Gi-Oh is, it is the most ironically fun one. Like, watching Yu-Gi-Oh and just being like, this show sucks ass and I'm loving it is one of the most fun times I ever had as a kid watching cartoons. Unfortunately, I think Digimon is the one in double coverage. It just doesn't do that much that the other monster shows did.
Fair enough.
Like, I could watch Monster Rancher and be happy. I don't like Digimon had a great theme song. Digimon had some great characters. Digimon has some awesome mons. Like, I am not shitting on Digimon whatsoever. I think Yu-Gi-Oh's funnier.
That's fair. All right, this next one from Jeff. Make a $15 sandwich. In the $5 tier, we got fried chicken, burger, and grilled chicken. $4 tier, bacon, Swiss cheese, onion strings. And grilled onions, or $3 tier, grilled onions, chile, and American cheese. $2 jalapenos, mushrooms, and pickles. $1 tomato, lettuce, onion. Let me do some math.
Is this cheating? Because here's my sandwich. So
yeah, I think we're both about to get out of here for $11 to $13.
Oh no, I'm spending all 15 of mine. So
okay,
I'm taking fried chicken and burger for $10.
Ooh, we got a little Noah's Ark action happening.
Unfortunately, I have to make one sacrifice to my plan here, which is going with the $3 American cheese and the $2 mushrooms.
Okay.
All right.
That would be a fire sandwich.
See, I was thinking, I went with a basic build. I'm thinking I got to get that burg. I got to get that Swiss queso. I got to get them mushrooms. So that puts me at $11. I think I'm just going to add pickles for the joy of it. And maybe onions too, putting me at $14. And I'm very happy. I assume we get sauces for free. I imagine we get like mayo or mustard or whatever if we want it. So I'm assuming I get like a garlic aioli to go with the mushroom Swiss.
Yeah.
That seems reasonable.
All right, so I think I'm going to go.
Dalton's fat boy brain is ticking.
It is because, you know what, fuck it. I like red onion and I like onion strings. I'm going burger, onion strings, American cheese, tomatoes, lettuce, onion.
Hell yeah.
Just classic.
It's a good burger.
And I would sub onion strings for bacon if I was feeling up for it. Oh, but Swiss cheese is good too. But dude, like a mushroom Swiss burger.
Yeah.
Those are so fuck. Especially you get the little bit of the gravy with the mushrooms on there, so it gives it a little moisture. Oh, so
yeah,
good.
I love a mushroom Swiss.
All right, and this last question comes in from Nate. When you grow up, I love it. I always saw this as dinosaur, so I love that this is different. When you grow up, people stop asking what your favorite medieval blunt weapon is. They don't even care. So, what is your favorite medieval blunt weapon? We got the cudgel, the spiked club, the mace, the flanged mace, the tremolo mace. Just kidding on this.
God damn it!
On that last one, the maul, the warhammer, the morning star, the quarterstaff, the flail, and the bec de corbon.
Oh man, there's some good. Okay, I want to say I don't know if the bec de corbon counts as a blunt weapon. That thing looks spiky as shit.
It is, but it has a hammer on it.
Okay,
it is technically a warhammer with a sword out the middle of it.
Is bec de corbon literally French for crow's beak? Because it sounds like it is.
It might be. I'm not up on my French. But yeah, I mean, that's a serious weapon.
Yeah, it looks like it could do some damage.
It means ravens. It's Old French for raven speak. Yep.
Nice.
Oh, man. I do not know if I could successfully wield a maul.
It doesn't matter if you can wield it. Do you like it?
Oh, that's fair. I was going to say, I've picked one up in the Torture Museum in St. Augustine, and fuck, that thing is heavy. Also, giant-ass great swords. Good luck. You better be a fucking the mountain.
I'm feeling the flanged mace because it makes me feel like I would feel like a character from Hexen or Heretic swinging that shit around, you know?
So I was digging flanged mace too, but I think I'm gonna go with what was essentially ended up being my main in Elden Ring, which was the Morning Star.
Yeah, unsurprising.
Yeah, see, I
thought you were either going to go Morningstar or Mole.
I was leaning toward flail, but I feel like, well, as far as like just thinking how cool they are, flail is definitely super cool. But I feel like you have more of an opportunity to hurt the fuck out of yourself too with a flail if you.
It's the nunchuck roll. It looks really cool, but it is a great way to kill yourself.
And since Nate picked the Morning Star, I'll go the Bec de Corbin. That thing is sweet. Yeah. I would love to have one of those just hanging on the wall, which I do. By the way, I got this badass sword that Diana got me. I got hanging up on the wall over here. Thing's awesome. Excalibur.
Yeah, but it basically looks like a warhammer with an added spear you could jab people with. Like, that's dope.
Added a bayonet to my warhammer. I call her Bayonetta.
Are we going back to Goth IHOP already?
I never left.
Maybe Goth IHOP left you, but I never left it. What is this accent we're doing?
We're doing it.
So, boys, that brings us around here to the end because that was the end of the questions. Is there anything that either of you would like to plug before I run through the the finale here?
Just my butt.
Fair enough. Well, what you got anything you would like to plug?
I would like to plug your butt.
All right, then. Then it is time for house cleaning, and we can get on up out of here, and we'll be back in 2 weeks to talk about some Pathologic 2, which I'm super stoked about, and there will be a new poll up in the Discord. And speaking of the Discord, if you'd like to join the Discord, is bit.ly/TSMP Discord, all capital letters, and that'll get you an invite. You can come join. We have good conversations in there. There's sections for all the different shows under the TSMP umbrella, and you can vote on the polls. I haven't updated on the show about those in a while, so let me run through those very quickly. The current poll that is up that will be ended at the end of this, the winner, Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty.
Hell yeah.
Oh, shit.
I can't wait, man. That game is like, when you play it, it's going to be like, oh shit, could Kojima see the future? What the fuck? It's going to be fun.
What the fuck? I need Scissor 61.
But yeah, our next game up is Pathologic 2, and then after that will be Jurassic World Evolution, and then that's when Metal Gear will happen is after that. There's also a short poll and a retro game poll. Those have been up for a while, so I'm just going to leave them because we haven't had to use those in a bit, but that's okay. So other than that, man, if you would leave us a review over on iTunes or Spotify, it really helps us out in the algorithm, helps people find the show. Check out the website, bit.ly/The Steam Machine Podcast, capitalized phonetically. It's kept up to date by Dane. Thank you very much, sir. If you would like to join the Patreon and support the show, which really would mean the world to us, that is patreon.com/The Steam Machine Podcast. $1 or more a month gets you the episodes early, and you get the banter in the beginning that is just for the Patreon people. And $10 or more a month gets you your name read on each and every episode like these wonderful people. Nate Sir Cogsworth, the 7th of June-iper, Jeff, the original Expendable, Mr. Syllables, old Jeffy Lube, also he's a duck, Ariesoradam, check out his podcast Revival and Extinction, Team Retrogue, go check him out over on YouTube, Mr. Puzzles, Dane himself, Chad the Mad Lad, no goddamn C in his last name, Shaffer, Flyin, Brian, Doran, Gray, the RPG Wolverine, Logan, Joreid, and Biltzy the Dragon. Thank you all very, very much. You are much appreciated. And shout out to the JRPG Report, the bi-weekly JRPG news show that I do. And there's been some interesting stuff coming out lately. Not a lot, but the stuff that has been there has been interesting. So go check it out. Other than that, boys, we'll be back in 2 weeks to talk about some Pathologic 2. So, ladies and gentlemen, until then, we hope you enjoyed the Steamy Awards. I hope people who listen to Dane and Jeff's Media Dump enjoyed the drunken year in review that me and Willie were guests on. And that's about it. So take it easy.